In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to achieve the upper part of this dress. So to start, here is the pattern paper and I'll be cutting this in a miniature size. What I have is the shoulder to bust, under bust and waistline. So after marking this, you want to go ahead to take your shoulder measurement because this dress has a sleeve, you're going to add ½ inch to it. Be coming down by 1 inch from that point for your shoulder slope or shoulder slant. The next step is to mark a neckline of 2.5 inches by 2 inches at this point. Now go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect from your shoulder to that your neckline. So go ahead to draw out the neckline for your pattern, right? So after drawing this out, go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll draw out a straight line there. After marking this, I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll place my ruler to connect. The next step is to divide your armhole into 2 equal parts and I will mark. After marking, I'll come in by ½ inch. I'll go ahead to mark the bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. Connect from the midpoint to the upper part and to the chest line. Next is to mark your dart. I'll start by marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll mark this all the way to the lower parts and I'll extend. So from the midpoint of the armhole, I'll connect to the bust. I'll mark ½ inch here. If you're a bit busty, mark 1 inch. Here I'll mark 1.5. For someone that is busty, use 2 inches. I'll go ahead to repeat the same process here. Mark ½ inch and 1.5 here. But if you're plus size, you're going to use 1 inch here and then 2 inches on the other side. If you're a bit busty or your bust is fuller, connect from the bust to the under bust and connect at the other side. For the dart at this side, I'll mark ½ inch here, ½ inch here, and I'll go ahead to blend it into the pattern at both sides. So after I'm done marking, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to replace that dart intake towards the armhole, that is making it 1 inch. So I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4, replace that dart intake I have at the armhole and add my sewing allowance. I'll mark the under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Measure your waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake you have, replace and add your sewing allowance. Next step I'll take is to go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect my pattern. So after this now, the next step is to go ahead to mark your bust dart. To get your bust dart, is a difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. For example, my shoulder to waist is 17 and that of the back is 15.5. If you take out 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5. So that is how you get your bust dart. So come in here a bit and you'll be connecting it to the side. So I didn't mention the actual measurement here because I'm drafting this on and I'm drafting it in form of an illustration, right? So go ahead to measure what is okay for you. So I'll come in here. Didn't actually get to see the neckline area, the color covered it, so I'll just go ahead to draw out this little curve here. So after connecting, you have to like blend out and connect to the end at this point. Also blend out your pattern here. Go ahead to blend your pattern, make sure that the dart matches, right? So I'll just make sure that the edge also matches very well. So when you're doing this, blend out your pattern very well because it's meant to meet at each of the sides. So after blending it out, this is what I have. So I'll go ahead to cut this out first. After cutting out, we can now go ahead to like extend this side of this pattern because the other side is overlapping. After blending in, you're going to hold the side together. There won't be any joining there, just like we have on the pattern, right? So I'll now cut out the lower part. We're attaching a pattern paper to complete it because if you look at this picture now, notice this part is overlapping other side of the dress, right? So blend out your dart when cutting and also go ahead to cut it out. So this is what I have. Now I'll complete this other side by using a tape to hold it down, and then I'll draw out the shape I have towards the armhole this way and I'll go ahead to connect it. So when you're sewing your dress, you're going to join this part together, then this other part will now go underneath it and join towards the armhole of the dress, giving you that overlapping effect on the dress. So after this, we'll go ahead to move over to the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I'm just leaving it to be a basic back pattern, right? But before that, you have to like cut out the take measurement of your neckline to cut out the collar of your dress. So for the back pattern, this is what I have. I marked the zipper allowance, I marked the shoulder to bust waistline, and I also found the chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So for the zipper, you can use 1.5 to 2 inches. So go ahead to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and draw out a straight line. I'll mark a basic dart intake of ½ inch on both sides, and that will come down by 1 inch here. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler to connect. After connecting here, I'll go ahead to connect on the other side. Now let's insert our body measurements. Mark your bust circumference divided by your sewing allowance. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Then go ahead to connect your pattern. So if you want to have a princess dart effect at the back, divide what you have at the armhole and mark, connect it to that point, outline your measurement. So I'll come in by ½ inch here for my zipper bulge, and I'll extend this all the way to the upper part. After I'm done marking here, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my pattern. So also measure your neckline for the back. This will serve as a guide to cut out the collar of your dress. If you don't want to have a princess dart effect, you can just leave your dart and sew it up.